Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a topic that literally keeps executives and project leaders up at night: data. More specifically, we're diving into the TIO framework's data quality capability. Now, look, if you have ever felt that sinking feeling in your stomach while staring at a messy spreadsheet right before a massive AI rollout, well, prepare to breathe a huge sigh of relief. Because the TIO framework actually shatters a very expensive and honestly very paralyzing myth. Together, we're going to explore why chasing data perfection might actually be the very thing holding your organization back, and what we can do instead to build real, unshakable trust in automation and AI.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The core mantra that anchors everything we're going to explore today is surprisingly simple. Data does not need to be perfect, it needs to be fit for purpose. I want you to just read that again. I absolutely love this, because it is such a liberating mindset shift. We have all been conditioned to think that before we can do anything innovative, every single cell in our database needs to be totally pristine. But the TIO framework fundamentally challenges that whole idea. It's asking us to stop agonizing over total perfection and start focusing on utility. There is this super common myth in our industry that before doing anything, we've got to make every single dataset perfect, everywhere. And you know what that looks like? It's usually this massive, incredibly expensive, one-time remediation project. Or maybe it's just a purely technical profiling exercise with absolutely zero business ownership. It is literally like trying to boil the ocean. But the reality of being fit for purpose, that's entirely different. It is all about knowing exactly which data matters for the specific AI or automation use case you have right in front of you. It's about deciding readiness for specific decisions, rather than just sitting around waiting for this utopian state of perfect data that, let's be honest, is never going to happen.
So if we zoom out to the broader TIO framework for a second, we can see exactly where data fits into the whole shebang. The operating logic of TIO is that leadership directs the organization, but data provides the fuel for insight. Think about that. If AI and intelligent automation are the engines of your transformation, data is the fuel. And obviously, if you don't trust the fuel, there is no way you can trust the engine. Data has to be owned, it has to be trusted, and it has to be accessible.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding where data quality actually fits into that picture. To do that, we need to draw a really clear boundary line. Within the data domain, you've got ownership and you've got quality. Data ownership tells us exactly who is accountable for the data. But data quality, that's the engine that proves whether that data is actually fit for use. It's like ownership is the name on the door, but quality is the test results in the lab. You really cannot have a mature data factory if you don't know who owns the data. And you certainly can't have one if you can't mathematically prove to that owner that their data is ready for action.
And that brings us to a pretty harsh truth, one that a lot of organizations learn the hard way. Quality is not a post-launch cleanup. It just isn't. It has to be built directly into the path from the data to its use. It should never, ever appear as a reactive Band-Aid after an executive dashboard completely crashes or an AI use case hallucinates and loses the entire organization's trust. Once leadership loses confidence in an AI tool because the underlying data was just garbage, wow, winning that trust back is incredibly difficult. You have to check the data before the work even begins.
So how do we actually do that practically? Well, the framework lays out 5 core behaviors. And please, don't look at these as some dry one-time checklist. Think of this more like a continuous repeating life cycle. It's an unstoppable engine for building trust. The steps are define, check, expose, fix, and improve. When an organization gets these 5 gears running smoothly together, they aren't just cleaning data anymore. They're systematically producing confidence. Let's break down exactly what each of these means on the ground.
This engine kicks off with behavior 1, which is define. First things first, you have to agree with the business owners on what good enough actually means for this specific use case, like what are the critical fields. Then we move right into behavior 2, which is check. Once you've defined those rules, you ruthlessly test the priority data against them. And we're talking simple rules here. Are required fields complete? Are there any duplicates? Are the values even valid? You are basically comparing reality against the simple thresholds you just agreed upon.
Once you've checked the data, we move on to the next set of behaviors. Behavior 3 is expose. You really have to courageously make defects, trends, and readiness totally visible before the data is used. Don't try to hide the messy reality. Then comes behavior 4, which is fix. You assign those issues right back to the owners and correct the highest value defects at the root source. And finally, behavior 5 is improve. You take these quality results to update your rules, fix the source systems, and even improve training. It is this beautiful, continuous, closed loop that ensures your data gets systematically healthier over time.
Now, to avoid completely drowning in administrative overhead, the framework limits us to just 3 practical executive outputs. Because let's be honest here, more technical profiling does not mean more trust. You really only need these 3 artifacts. First up, data quality rules. These need to be simple, testable, and directly tied to real business use. Second, a data quality scorecard. This is just to show if the data is ready, limited, or completely not ready for use. And third, a data quality remediation plan to track exactly who is fixing the highest priority defects and when they're doing it. That is the whole shebang. Keep it simple and keep it focused.
If you're sitting there wondering how to actually start doing this tomorrow morning, here are your highly actionable first moves. First rule, do not try to clean the whole enterprise data warehouse. Seriously, don't do it. Instead, pick one important urgent business use case. Maybe it's an upcoming AI rollout or a critical board metric. Next, identify just the critical fields required for that specific task. Define your simple quality rules for those fields, test the data, and then, together as a cohesive team, decide what absolutely must be fixed before you go live. This super focused approach creates immediate, measurable value.
As you build out this capability, you might be asking, how do we actually know if we're getting better? Well, you measure your progress along the TIO maturity scale. You move from level 0, which is absent, all the way up to level 5, which is optimized. Now, most organizations start out at level 1, ad hoc. That's where quality depends entirely on heroic individuals just improvising behind the scenes. The goal is to move up those stairs to a defined, managed capability. But the absolute golden rule here is this: score evidence, not aspiration. A massive one-time cleanup effort doesn't earn you a high score. You need concrete artifacts, like scorecards and decision records, proving that quality rules are actively being used in real work.
And that brings our narrative full circle, right back to this idea. Quality is not perfection. Quality is confidence. A mature data factory isn't one with 0 errors in its database. That's a fantasy. A mature factory is one where the organization knows exactly when data is good enough to run with, when it requires strict limits, and when they have to slam on the brakes because it's just not ready yet. That level of transparency and confidence is exactly what empowers leaders to make aggressive, successful moves with AI and automation, without taking on reckless risk.
So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to take back to your teams. When you look at the fuel powering your next big AI initiative, what are you actually optimizing for? Are you wasting valuable time trying to make sure your data is totally perfect? Or are you doing the focused work to make sure it is ready? If you shift your mindset to fit for purpose, follow those 5 behaviors, and focus on readiness, you'll be amazed at how quickly your transformation accelerates. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get out there and start building confidence in your data.